Hello, my name's Gary Schotten, and I just want to share with you my heart, how Inspiring Better Business got started, and just why we're here and what we are trying to accomplish. I'm going to give you the 2 action steps we're currently involved in right now, and then a third that's shortly to follow. Well, number 1, IBB Talks, Inspiring Better Business, are trademarked, and they're doing business as or a subsidiary of a nonprofit organization I formed almost 20 years ago called Global Business Success Foundation. So that's legal in the United States, and that's kind of important to a lot of people. And we started out with my personal passion. I have a belief that if someone's called to the body of Christ in a particular area, that they need to be responsible and are responsible to mentor others in that same calling. If someone's called to be a pastor and they're pastoring, they should be raising up some pastors, young people along the way. Someone that's singing. You can't just sing a song or play the guitar. You should be helping someone else by giving lessons or helping out. Well, in the business world, I've always felt that's a part of my calling, to be helping others find specifically where they're called into business now, or what they're called to do in the body of Christ. Now, in my case, I'm fortunate that I could look back in my life and I can say very clearly and early on that I knew that I was called of God to be in business. I tell a quick story here. When I was about 14, a typical 14-year-old, I was just discovering girls, and I certainly was already interested in sports, and so I was just a typical guy, and we lived on a farm, and my dad one day told me on a Tuesday, because I know it was Tuesday, because it was sale day, it was cattle sale day, where Dad normally went and drove 45 minutes to town and spent all day buying cattle at the auction. I never went with Dad, but that day he said, "Go in there and get some better jeans on. You're riding with me. You're going to town." Really? That surprised me. I never dreamed I'd do that. So I'm obedient, and I'm riding along in the passenger seat, and my dad's not very talkative, and we get about 10, 15 minutes from our destination. And Dad just says a few sentences. He said, "Well, Gary, you need to go in there to the bank and borrow enough money for 300 head of cattle, because we're going to form the my last name Schotten, that'd be Schotten Brothers Partnership, and feed cattle." Well, that's our business. My dad was in the cattle business. This wasn't new to me, but it was new that I would be like helping start an organization. I'm 14. Well, I didn't think much of it in those few minutes, and I'm thinking, well, Dad will go in with me, and we'll sit down, and he'll talk to the banker, and he'll do all the talking. But surprise, surprise, it was one of those times that I can forever remember in my mind seeing the taillights of the pickup drive away, and I'm standing on the curb in front of the bank all by myself, with those limited instructions. And I know Dad did not call ahead, because that was the day of long-distance phone calls, and he would not have called a phone call and prepped the banker on this. Well, I walked in, and I talked and found the banker he told me to talk to, and I fumbled through, making an absolute fool of myself, I'm sure, other than I know the banker picked up right away. Well, why did I tell you that story? My dad was an entrepreneur, and I can look back and say from childhood, I was picking up things about being an entrepreneur. Now, maybe your story isn't like that, but I tell you, there's certain people listening to this, and this website that we're designing, Inspiring Better Business, is mostly to help entrepreneurs. Because see, around the world, we don't have enough jobs in many developing nations. We look at 30 and 40 and 50 and 60% unemployment. That means there's another 15, 20, or 30% that have a job, but they hate it. They can't get the job they want. And so I am passionate about helping businesses get started in developing nations. And that's why we formed Inspiring Better Business. And we're now currently 3 years from kind of what I call the experimental stage, and we're ready to kick in gear and really make this thing happen. And we have about 350 of these 8-minute teachings that are on our website. They're patterned after a fairly famous website called TED.com or TED Talks. Theirs are a little longer, but ours are around 8-9 minutes long each one. They cover one subject. So that's the first thing we're doing, building a complete library of talks that would help people grow and start and excel in their businesses. Number 2, we're helping form what we call peer mentoring groups, peer mentoring clubs. We did this a little bit when I was on my trip to the Balkan countries in Eastern Europe, but especially in East Africa, in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. And we formed these groups when we spoke, and we helped get them together, and some of them hung on, but now we're calling in from a distance. We're calling from the United States, and once someone in these developing nations will form a group of 10 or 12 people, around that number, then we make ourselves available to call in, not to take over, but to give them encouragement. We're mentoring on a weekly basis. The most calls that we make are to the Congo, and Rwanda, and Uganda, and Tanzania, and Kenya, and we're forming these groups. There's a saying by, I think it's John Maxwell, that says, no matter how thin the pancake, there's always two sides. Well, let me tell you the two sides of what we're doing when we're talking about forming these groups. The side that really needs the help and want the help are in these developing nations, and they're asking us to help them. Not send money, but we're sending experience and expertise. Maybe the money will come later, maybe. But we're sending that encouragement. But when we get more than 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, we need mentors on this side. That's the other side of the pancake. There's hundreds and thousands of business people that have lots of experience and have time on their hands, and we want to match them up and create weekly or twice a month calls and encouraging these groups sometimes just to keep on or answer the tough questions. The third thing that we've done a little bit in a different format, and we're going to roll out soon, is what we call Inspiring Better Business Mission Trips. And these are trips that will go back to these countries that we've been to and develop new countries, go into new countries, and we'll have what kind of in the TED Talks world, they have a TED Talk event. We'll be having IBB Talks event. And those people that are already interested in what we're doing, we're going to invite them, because we'll have a database of people in a region, and we'll invite them to come, and we'll record these 8 and 10-minute videos, and these things will all keep working together. We'll keep doing videos and teachings that are available in video, audio, and podcast. We'll continue forming these peer groups, peer mentoring clubs, and then when we make a trip, we'll incorporate the two to give some enthusiasm and excitement about what's going on and what the future can hold. Well, I hope this makes sense. I'm passionate about it. My personal mission is very clear and has been for 20 years, to identify and develop Christian business leaders who will utilize the resources within their respective countries to fulfill the Great Commission, the call of God. To identify and develop Christian business leaders who will utilize the resources within their own country to fulfill the Great Commission. I've made statements without any hesitation. There's enough money in every nation to reach that nation for Christ. We've just got to do things just a little bit different and create an empowerment to help the locals, the people in those countries, own and operate their own business. When they do, over time, they'll employ some of those other people that need jobs. Well, thanks for being a part of this. I hope you'll join in. There's information on our website that will help you, inspiringbetterbusiness.com or ibbtalks.com. Thank you.